Forget the big names. It's time to take a closer look at one of the lesser-known but best games on the Atari Jaguar. And while everyone's busy gushing over Alien vs. Predator or Tempest 2000, there's a high-octane, two-wheel beast lurking in the Jaguar's library. Super Burnout is the adrenaline-pumping racing gem you never knew you needed. Tight controls? Check. A pulse-pounding soundtrack? Double check. Strap in because we're about to blow the dust off this forgotten treasure. So let's be real, when people talk about the Atari Jaguar, they usually bring up the usual suspects. AVP, Tempest 2000, Iron Soldier, and sure, those are all great games, if you're into being hunted by aliens or tripping out to psychedelic neon geometry. But what if you just want to go really fast? Enter Super Burnout, the unsung hero of the Jaguar's lineup. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, or in this case, the motorcycle, but what it does do is deliver a rock-solid, arcade-style racing experience that's polished, addictive, and most importantly, fun. Unlike the other flagship games in the Jaguar library, Super Burnout is an unashamed 2D sprite-based arcade racer, an obvious clone of Sega's arcade classic Super Hang-On. Super Burnout throws any ambition of fancy polygon graphics out the window in favor of solid 60 frames per second, undulating, silky smooth goodness. Is it groundbreaking? No. But is it one of the best racers on the Jaguar? Absolutely. Gameplay is focused on precision to getting that perfect lap. But it's not a 64-bit looking game. But it doesn't matter. Once you start racing, it just pulls you into the action, and the controls make it an absolute joy to play. Released in 1995, Super Burnout features 8 different tracks and also has 6 bikes to choose from. The split-screen 2-player mode is very well done. It also features 4 different play modes, adding to the replay value. This game takes you on a world tour of racing circuits, from those with high-speed straightaways for those who just want to mash the throttle, to technical circuits that are twisty, turn-filled nightmares for masochists who enjoy flipping over their handlebars at 120 miles per hour. And let's talk about the presentation. The tracks are all vibrant and brightly colored, packed with detail, and some courses even have dynamic day-to-night transitions. The night stages are especially gorgeous, with the spotlight from the motorcycles lighting up the track and the huge moon looming over the track. I remember the first time I came around the corner as that gigantic, gorgeous full moon starts gliding across the sky. My jaw just dropped, and it was an amazing moment. Before we dive into it further, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is always here for a quick retro gaming break whenever you need it. I appreciate your support, since it's the only way YouTube will highlight my videos. Super Burnout doesn't just throw you onto a generic crotch rocket and call it a day. No sir. You've got a selection of high-performance motorcycles, each with its own quirks. There's the Grip Kings, the bikes that stick to the road like glue, but good luck hitting top speed. Then there are the Speed Demons, pure, unfiltered velocity. Just don't expect to turn without crashing into a billboard. And there's the balanced ones, for people who like not wiping out. And the bikes all have bizarre-sounding names like Sliding Thunder and Killing Turtle. Okay. The controls are responsive, and which bike you pick actually matters, unlike some racing games where every vehicle feels more or less similar than different. The thrill in Super Burnout is how when you select the right bike for a certain track, you can hug the turns with a Velcro-like grip, or blast past other riders on the straightaways with the throttle opened all the way up. But one drawback I've got to mention is that if you're playing through all of the courses using the same motorcycle, you'll inevitably run into the challenges or having difficulty even staying on the track, as the balance is a bit out of whack. Certain bikes are good for certain tracks, but are certainly not a one-size-fits-all deal. It's not a huge problem, but it does make you be more strategic if you're going for a personal best lap time on a certain track. Now, the music in Super Burnout is crystal clear, fast-paced, and exactly what you'd want in an arcade racer. It's the kind of soundtrack that makes you feel like you're in some kind of extreme sports VHS tape from 1995, and I mean that in the very best way possible. I personally thought the music sounds really good, but if you don't like it, you can also turn it down in the settings, or all the way off, if that's your thing. Okay, now back to the visuals. Well, technically, it's more of a direct clone of the Namco arcade game Suzuka 8 Hours. When compared to Sega's Super Hang-On, you'll notice that Super Burnout actually one-ups it in the graphics department. More color, better detail, More, wow, the Jaguar can actually do this? But the comparison to Super Hang-On isn't quite fair, since that was released in the arcade way back in 1987, giving Super Burnout 8 years to catch up to Sega's System 1 arcade board, albeit on the hardware of a home console. Again, no one was saying that Super Burnout was innovative, but there's no doubt of its quality as a solid Jaguar title. And when we compare Super Burnout to the more contemporary Road Rash on the 3DO, this really is comparing apples to oranges. Both games are great, no doubt, but they use very different approaches. Where Super Burnout dazzles with its buttery smooth 2D sprite scaling, its vibrant pixel-perfect tracks whipping past with arcade flair, Road Rash on the 3DO really pushed the boundaries with its gritty, digitized realism, using early texture-mapped graphics to create its rough-and-tumble biker world. The Jaguar's 2D sprite-powered approach gives Super Burnout a crisp and colorful clarity with its huge detailed motorcycles and parallax-heavy backdrops that pop, while Road Rash's 3D engine trades polish and frame rate for a more realistic-looking presentation. Both are technical showpieces for their consoles, but Super Burnout's pixel artistry ages like fine wine, when Road Rash's polygons, let's just say, they're more of a charming vintage than timeless. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. Now, if you enjoy this content, I've put a link in the description below of a playlist of all of my other videos that you also might enjoy, including a bunch of other great Jaguar games. So check it out and stick around for a while. So despite not being the most innovative racer, Super Burnout is an undeniably well-crafted and polished experience. And most importantly, it's a total blast to play. And in my book, it more than holds its own against the other big boys on the 32-bit consoles. I'm not saying it's perfect, and while it received mixed receptions from video game magazines back in the day, it's gained a well-earned reputation from those who have actually played it over the years for being a quality title, through and through. Even if the Jaguar isn't a console you've played around with much, trust me, the Super Burnout is a must-play. It's fast, it's fun, and it proves that sometimes the best games aren't the ones screaming for attention. They're the ones quietly waiting to be discovered, or rediscovered. But that's just what I think. What do you think about Super Burnout? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your views. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. And if you're new here, I'd like to welcome you to my channel and invite you to subscribe for more feel-good retro gaming content. Alright my friends, this is the Retro Gaming Boss signing out, reminding you to keep your games old school. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.